You have nothing to lose, but everything to gain. The world already doubts you. Society wants you weak, comfortable, scrolling your life away, but the truth is simple, you're already at zero. You've got no excuses, no backup plan, and that's your power. Because when you've got nothing to lose, you finally start to fight like a man who's got everything to win. So stop hesitating, stop crying, and start building. This is your moment to become unbreakable. When I say starting from zero is powerful, I'm speaking from experience. There was a time in my life when I had nothing. No money, no security, no backup plan. I was sleeping on a mattress that didn't even belong to me. I didn't have connections, I didn't have luxury, I didn't have comfort. But I had one thing, hunger. And that hunger was the reason I woke up every morning ready to fight. When you're broke, when nobody believes in you, when you have nothing to lose, that's when you become dangerous. Because the man with nothing to lose has no fear. He's not scared of opinions. He's not worried about losing what he doesn't even have. He's free to take every risk, make every move, and go all in. You know, people don't understand the gift of starting from zero. They think it's a curse, but it's not. It's the clean slate life gives to warriors. When you start from nothing, every small win feels like a war trophy. Every bit of progress, every skill you develop, every bit of strength you build, it all belongs to you. No one handed it to you, and that's what makes it powerful. You're not tied to anyone's expectations or approval. You're creating your life from the dust with your own hands. That's where self-belief is forged. You know, I remember working jobs that drained my soul, wondering if all this struggle would ever mean something. There were nights I sat alone thinking about whether I was wasting my time. But every one of those nights built me. Every rejection, every failure, every moment of doubt, they were fuel, because I realized no matter how bad it got, I had two choices: stay down or get up. And when you truly have nothing to lose, getting up becomes easy. You stop waiting for luck, for opportunities, for someone to save you. You realize that no one's coming. It's just you. And that's the moment life changes. When you stop running from struggle and start owning it. When you use your emptiness as the fire that drives you forward. Because when you start from zero, you have everything to prove. And when you have everything to prove, you become unstoppable. Fear is the only thing that truly holds people back. It's not the lack of opportunity, not the lack of money, not even the lack of talent. It's fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of what other people might say. I've seen so many people with potential waste their entire lives because they were scared to look stupid. They were scared to try and fail. But when you've lived through real struggle, you learn that fear is an illusion. I remember times in my life when I didn't know if things would work out. I took risks that could have left me with nothing. I walked into rooms where nobody respected me, nobody cared who I was, but I still walked in because I understood one thing: if I let fear control me, I'd never escape the life I was trying to change. No, there were moments when everything seemed stacked against me. Times when I wasn't sure if my decisions were right, but I made them anyway, not because I was fearless, but because I knew I had nothing to lose. When you've already felt what failure tastes like, it stops scaring you. You start to realize that the real failure is in hesitation. The real mistake is never trying. I've met people who dream big, who talk endlessly about what they want to do, but they're paralyzed by fear. They keep waiting for the perfect moment, but it never comes. Life doesn't reward the man who waits. It rewards the man who moves. I learned early that courage isn't about being born brave. It's about standing up when you're scared. It's about doing what needs to be done, even when your hands shake and your mind tells you to stop. Every time I faced fear and acted anyway, I became stronger. Every uncomfortable moment built a layer of confidence that no one could take away. That's why I say fear is the enemy of progress. Once you break through it, life opens up in ways you can't imagine. Because the moment you stop letting fear dictate your choices is the moment you truly start living, and that's when everything begins to change. The world doesn't care about what you plan to do. It only respects what you actually do. That's the truth most people can't handle. Everyone talks, everyone dreams, everyone says they're going to change their life, but almost nobody takes action. When I started out, I didn't have it figured out. I didn't know what would work. I made mistakes, I failed, I looked stupid, but I kept moving. I didn't sit around waiting for the perfect idea or the perfect timing, because I knew that the only way to find success was to move before I felt ready. I remember sitting in small rooms, grinding day after day with no guarantee of anything. No applause, no recognition, just work. But that's what built me, because while everyone else was talking, I was building. People spend years thinking about what they could do, but in that same time, the man who acts has already changed his entire life. I learned that action is the only language the world understands. You can tell people your dreams, but no one believes you until you show them results. Nobody believed in me at first. They laughed, they doubted, they said it was impossible. But I didn't need their belief, I needed movement. Every small step forward gave me momentum, and that momentum created opportunities I never could have planned for. There were times when I felt tired, burned out, unsure if the work would pay off. But I never stopped, because I knew that doing something imperfectly is still better than doing nothing at all. Most people lose because they want everything to be comfortable. They wait for certainty, but certainty doesn't exist. You find clarity through movement. You build confidence by taking risks. Every win I've had in life came from taking action when it didn't make sense to others. That's why execution is everything. Now, the difference between those who dream and those who succeed is simple. One keeps talking, the other starts doing. And once you start doing, once you commit fully, the world has no choice but to take you seriously. Tate is the most honest teacher you'll ever have. People run from it, complain about it, try to hide from it, but pain is the reason you grow. When I was younger, I went through situations that tested every part of me. I've been broke, I've been betrayed, I've had moments where everything I built felt like it was falling apart. But instead of letting those moments destroy me, I used them. Every hit life threw at me made me harder, sharper, more focused. Because I realized something powerful: pain isn't your enemy, it's your mirror. It shows you exactly who you are when everything's stripped away. When you're in pain, you find out what you're made of. You either fold or you fight. There were days I didn't want to get up, but I forced myself to move anyway. I trained, I worked, I pushed through the noise in my head. I didn't do it because it was easy. I did it because I refused to let weakness win. Most people don't understand that pain is not there to stop you. It's there to test your commitment. Everybody says they want success until they realize what it actually costs. It costs your comfort, your time, your energy, your peace. But those who can endure that pain without running away are the ones who earn power. I learned that every setback is a setup for strength. Every disappointment is an opportunity to build character. When you face hardship, you can either cry about it or learn from it. I chose to learn. The pain taught me discipline, it taught me focus, it taught me resilience. It showed me that no one's coming to save me. And that's exactly why I became unstoppable. Because once you understand that the struggle is part of the process, you stop resisting it. You start to welcome it. Every scar, every loss, every sleepless night builds something inside you that comfort never will. That's why I don't avoid pain anymore. I respect it. Because pain is the price you pay for strength, and every time you endure it, you become a stronger version of yourself. Motivation is easy, it's a spark. It burns bright for a moment and then fades when life gets uncomfortable. Discipline is what keeps you moving when motivation dies. That's the truth I had to learn the hard way. There were countless mornings when I woke up exhausted, drained, with no desire to work, no energy to train, no drive to push forward. But I did it anyway, because I knew that if I only moved when I felt like it, I'd never make it anywhere. Discipline became my weapon. It's what separated me from the people who talked about success and the ones who actually lived it. When I first started chasing my goals, there were no cheers, no cameras, no one clapping for me. I was alone, grinding in silence. I had to build my habits from the ground up, training when I didn't want to, working late nights, forcing myself to stay focused when distractions were everywhere. And it wasn't glamorous, it was brutal, repetitive, and mentally draining. But that's where real strength is built, in the moments no one sees. People think success comes from some big breakthrough, but it doesn't. It comes from showing up every single day, even when nothing seems to be changing. I've seen countless people start something full of energy only to quit when the excitement fades. They want results without consistency, but the truth is, the world rewards consistency, not bursts of effort. There were times when I questioned if my discipline was even paying off. I worked for months, sometimes years, without seeing the results I wanted. But I stayed locked in, and eventually the results came. Discipline is what builds the foundation that success stands on. Without it, everything collapses the moment things get hard. You don't need to feel inspired every day. You just need to do what needs to be done. Discipline doesn't care about your mood, your excuses, or your circumstances. It's the commitment to keep moving no matter what. Because once you master discipline, you become untouchable, and nothing in this world can stop you. At the end of everything, it all comes down to one truth. You are the weapon. Not the money, not the car, not the status, not the circumstances. You deliced your mind, your focus, your resilience. That's what determines how far you go. When I was younger, I thought success was about having the right tools or the right opportunities. But I learned quickly that even with nothing in your hands, if your mind is sharp and your will is strong, you can build anything. There were days when I didn't have resources, but I had vision. I didn't have comfort, but I had purpose. I didn't have support, but I had belief, and that's what made the difference. People think they need more to start, more money, more luck, more time. But the truth is, you already have everything you need. You just haven't unlocked it yet. I had to train my mind to see struggle as an advantage. When things went wrong, I told myself, good, let's see how strong I really am. That mindset alone changed everything. Because once you understand that life is a battlefield and you are the weapon, you stop complaining about the fight. You start sharpening yourself instead. You start taking responsibility. You stop pointing fingers and start asking, what can I do better? That shift turns weakness into power. There were moments when I faced setbacks that would have made most people quit. Times when plans failed, when opportunities disappeared, when people walked away. But every single time I remind myself, it's not the situation that defines me, it's how I respond. I use those moments to upgrade my mindset, to think faster, move smarter, and push harder. That's how you evolve. You don't become powerful by avoiding the fight. You become powerful by becoming the weapon in the fight. Your greatest asset isn't what you own, it's who you become. The stronger your mind, the less the world can shake you. You can take everything from a man, but if his mind is unbreakable, he'll rebuild it all again. That's why you must train yourself to be that kind of person. Because once you realize that SIU are the weapon, you become unstoppable. So remember this, the world only bows to those who refuse to break. You have nothing to lose and everything to become. Now stand up, sharpen your mind, and take what's yours.